Welcome to Sounding Board, a presentation of Seroptimist International of Novato, whose mission it is to improve the lives of girls and women, both locally and globally. This program is completely crewed, managed, produced, directed by members of Seroptimist International of Novato. I'm Freda Kaplan, and it's my pleasure to have guests from Resurrection Roller Derby Girls tonight, and also Sonoma County Roller Derby League. Welcome to our program. Tuesday's Gone, Griffin Gore, Butter and Jam, and Sicca Dislocata, which we'll find out more about that name soon. This isn't the roller derby that people remember from back in the day with the Bay Bombers and the aim being to knock people's teeth out and just general violence and TV action. Nowadays, they not only don't aim for people's teeth, but they wear mouth guards to protect their teeth and guards on their elbows, padding on their knees, and helmets, trying not to get beat up in the game. It's not the goal. It's a sport. It's a sport that takes skill and strategy and goals, just like a game like soccer. There are rules, and there are penalty boxes if you break the rules. Derby is a sport that's been growing rapidly. Tuesday, can you tell us more about that growth?
Yes, currently, as last count I checked today online, there are over 1,400 leagues worldwide for women's roller derby, and that is just since 2004, I believe. So it is the fastest growing sport in the world.
And there are groups not only in the U.S., it's spreading.
Oh, yeah. Europe and South America, Australia is way into it, and they just had Worlds last year where teams came to represent from many nations. It was pretty incredible. It's hosted in Canada, I believe.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'd like to find out about your names. If you could say your names properly, unlike the way I do, so we can find out.
Well, I am Tuesday's Gone, and it's a Lynyrd Skynyrd song that my dad actually named me after. My birth name is Julie Tuesday, and my father taught me to skate when I was 3. So when I chose a derby name, I chose to honor the one who taught me to skate. So I am Tuesday's Gone.
I see.
I'm Griffin Gore. It's basically just a takeoff of a Harry Potter house, and I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so I chose that one.
And you're both on Resurrection.
Correct.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Butter and Jam from Sonoma County Roller Derby. I chose my name just thinking that I wanted to be a jammer, and it sounded like a good, wholesome name. So before that, I was skating as Tawny Rotten. But I just decided to make the switch, and that's perfectly acceptable in Derby. We can change our names if we feel like there's something more appropriate.
Interesting.
I'm Sicca Dislocata from Sonoma County Roller Derby, and my name was given Jess from, my name's Jess, so it's Jess Sicca, and the Dislocata came because about a year and a half ago we had a roller derby fundraiser wrestling match, and I accidentally dislocated one of my teammates' elbows. So it was actually kind of a joke, and then it ended up sticking. So
interesting.
Yeah. Unfortunate joke.
And where does each of your groups practice?
Resurrection Roller Girls, we skate at Cal Skate in Roanoke Park, California.
At Sonoma County Roller Derby, we actually skate in various locations around Santa Rosa and Sonoma County. Most recently, we do the Joe Rodota Trail along to Sebastopol, and then we also skate outside at I'm sorry, you guys are Cal Skate. We are at Snoopy's Ice Arena outdoors, and then we also get invited to go up to Ukiah to skate with the Mendo Mayhem Roller Derby girls, and they're our sister team, so we skate with them very often.
How did you get started with roller derby?
I got started because of an episode of Jackass, which is from, well, I was actually Wild Boys, which is a branch of Jackass, and they went to a banked track roller derby game, and they got beat up by all the girls, and I thought that was awesome. But flat track is the big one up here, and I like it a lot more. It's more about skill, and I've always been an athlete, so that's where I was gravitated towards.
I actually took my children and one of their friends to Cal Skate to go skating one evening, and when we got there we were told that we couldn't go in because there was going to be a derby bout, and we were invited to attend, so we watched, and at that time it was Sonoma County Roller Derby versus Bay Area Derby, I believe. And it was so exciting. I just had to wait until my children were older and I could get away in the evenings for practice, and then I started.
I have a friend who is Killer V. She's currently skating with the Bay Area Derby Girls travel team and on the Oakland team as well. And I went and saw her play a bout at Cal Skate when she was skating with Sonoma County. And from the moment I saw the first bout, I decided I had to play. I've always played sports growing up, and it was something kind of missing from my life as an adult, and Derby's amazing, so.
I am a former roller figure skater. I started skating at the age of 3 and competing from age of 8 to 15. Took a little break and I came back to Cal Skate to come back as an artistic skater, and the daughter of the owner of the rink, the teacher who we skate with now, says, "No, you have to come. You have to come to roller derby practice." And I did. And then I threw my art skates in the closet, bought some derby skates, and been going since 2007.
How do you spend your time besides doing roller derby, which I understand doesn't provide much income?
No, we are not paid to play. We all pay dues to our league, at least with Resurrection. And I spend my day teaching for the Sonoma County Office of Education in special ed.
I'm actually a preschool teacher. I teach in San Rafael, California, so pretty local, but it's a good job. You can get working with the kids and then go into derby at night. You can kind of take out your aggression that you definitely can't when you're teaching kids.
I'm a child welfare worker for the County of Marin.
I actually work in a restaurant, but lately I've been giving up my shifts because I'm an artist as well. And my art has been taking off because of roller derby. I do all of our flyers, I do all of our pamphlets. We also pay dues. Everybody in our league works for the league as well. So, we call them Magic Derby Fairies. Everybody, the only way it's going to get moving is if everybody pitches in.
Let's talk very basically about how the game is played for those of us who have no clue. Anybody?
Well, roller derby is composed of 2 sets of blockers on the track and then 1 jammer from each team. And the point is to get the jammer, your jammer, around and past the pack, which is the group of all the blockers in the front. So my job as a blocker, I want to stop the opposing team's jammer, but also I want to try to get my jammer past everybody. So once they break through the pack and they get back around to the pack again, they start scoring points again for every girl that they pass once they pass their hips. So girls can score upwards of like 40 points in a 2-minute jam. So it could be really quick, or you could call it off really early and get no points. It's very strategic for whoever gets to be the lead jammer gets to call it off.
So the blockers literally block the jammer from getting around.
We have to make a wall and block the opposing jammer to get through that wall. That's the point.
And the jammer is a fast skater.
Generally, yes.
Who can get around and then maybe wiggle through the pack somehow with help from your teammates.
Yes. Hopefully help. Not always.
Simultaneously playing offense and defense at the same time. So you have to pay attention to where your jammer is, where your other blockers are, where the opposing jammer is. You have to know where everybody is on the track at once, so that you can help your jammer while stopping the other jammer.
Well, you have to have eyes in the back of your head.
Basically, yes.
Yeah, to skate forward, looking backwards, noticing the sides, and helping.
Yep.
Wow.
And listen to the refs. The refs they're calling out penalties and points, and you want to keep track of all that at the same time as well. So it takes a lot of detail and that you have to really pay attention. So one thing that most derby skaters do is we depend on each other in the pack. So if I can't see the jammer coming, hopefully the blocker next to me has her eyes and she's yelling outside, and I will trust her and move to the outside. So you're right, you can't look everywhere at the same time, but if you got good communication in your pack, you can do some pretty good blocking.
How do you know it's your blocker that's saying that to you about the jammer?
Hours of practice and standing next to her, years of listening to her scream. I know when you can tell by the intensity of their voice how close that jammer is closing in. It's just hours of practice and getting to know one another. It's kind of like when your mom yells your name, you know it's time to come home from playing. Same thing when Griff yells outside, I know she means jammer on the out, and I just go.
So people usually assume that the moves you're doing are elbowing the people, hitting them in the mouth with your fist, stopping them any way you can. But that's not true.
No.
Not in modern roller derby. We've really left the whole WWF bank track feeling behind, and we're focusing a lot more on the strength and athleticism of the sport. And so we have legal hits and illegal hits, and legal blocks and illegal blocks, and things jammers can do and things jammers cannot do, and engagement zones. So you can't just hit wildly anywhere on the track. You must be contained within a certain amount of feet of other skaters to be in play. There's quite a bit that goes on in roller derby, and it's a fast-moving, action-packed sport. Once you figure out the rules, it's tremendously exciting.
But there are a lot of rules.
There's a lot of rules. There's a big book about them, yeah.
And not only that, but the rules change each year.
Yeah.
They can, yes.
So we have to keep up with the slight alterations of those rules from one year to the next.
Unlike soccer and other sports.
Remain the same over
It's
years.
because roller derby is so new. It's just we're trying to get a better feel for it and trying to make it more legitimate. You know, it's in contention to be for the Olympics in 2020. So they're trying to make it like fully legitimate and fully have a solid rule set. So, like, because people were always in disagreements about rules, that's why they're always getting revised. Like, they recently got rid of all of the minor rules. So now there's only major penalties. So you only go to the box for major things. Although there's certain things that were minor before are now made major. So it's certain things are kind of a bigger deal than others.
And not only that, but while there's one set of rules with the WIFTA Association, there's also USARS, which is the United States Roller Sports. And they're the ones who are really pushing for the Olympics, and they're already part of the Olympic Committee.
Yeah.
So that rule set is completely different than the one we're currently playing by. But last year we learned both sets of rules because we competed in the national tournament for USARS as Resurrection. So
You have to be really smart to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big undertaking to just all of a sudden say, well, we've been playing these WIFTA rules for so many years. Hey, USARS has this tournament. Do we want to do it? And yeah, we did. So it took a couple months of learning and then placing at a regional to be invited to the national, and then it was on after that. Then we really buckled down and we're like, okay, this is our new favorite rule set, everyone. We're going to learn this and we're going to play it well, which worked out. Third place national title.
Do you play it locally, the same rules?
We can. Yeah, we were hosting leagues at our rink for practice and for scrimmages so that we could continue to play the rules. Yeah.
And what's WIFTA? I hear you say that. What is that?
WIFTA is Women's Flat Track Roller Derby Association, and that's just like USARS. It's another form of like insurance. It's another rule set. We also are familiar with the USARS rule set, but we don't practice under that because we are a WIFTA team. But we know that it's there, and it's in our future to try to as well go for the USARS national. But that's in our future. We're rebuilding right now.
You mentioned that you go to the penalty box only for major infractions or penalties. What are some of those?
One of the biggest ones that is cutting the track. So like if an opposing blocker were to hit me out and I enter back on the track in front of her, even one person, I go immediately to the box. Before it used to be a little bit more flexible, like I think you were allowed like one or two, but now it's if anybody on the track was in front of you, you have to enter back in the pack from behind them. That's a big one that a lot of people, like a lot of veteran skaters, are having a hard time with. I've only been skating 2 years, so it's something that I've only had to adjust to in the last year, but a lot of girls that I skate with are having a really hard time with that one.
What about body moves that are infractions?
Well, like you said, with hitting with your fist or your elbows, that would definitely be a penalty. Back blocking is a penalty. If you come up behind a skater and hit them down the middle of their back, that would be a zone that you're not allowed to come into contact with.
So you don't have a lot of parts to hit with. You're mostly using your hips, I understand. Is that? Well, how do you hit a person in the back then?
Well, oftentimes jammers are coming up to a four-wall of blockers in the new rule set. So those jammers are going fast, and if they can't slow down in time, they'll skate into the backs of those players. With the new rule set, there's also no impact, no penalty. So if I do elbow her, as long as I don't better my position or knock her down, then it's not going to be called. But if I elbow her hard enough to get in front of her or knock her over, then I've made an impact in the game, and then I'll get sent to the box, which is the same as back blocking. You can run into the back of someone, but as long as you don't knock them down or get in front of them, then you're not going to get called on it.
Are there any others that you can think of that send you to the box? Or take points away?
There's a directional penalty. If you're skating against the pack and you hit someone going in the wrong direction, then that would be a penalty.
Interesting.
I have to work on those. I have to work on those because as a blocker, I've been working on my stop blocking. Like if you are in a floor wall and the jammer comes up behind you and she comes into contact, you have to move your feet. Like you can't be really planted. They have rules about that and I am having a hard time with that because like I'll plant and then I'll turn around and hit them, and that's especially on the corner of the track, that's such a difficult thing because of the angles. So from where the ref is standing, you know, it looks like you totally just, you know, chest bumped some girl, and that's not fair. Like we want to be, you know, we want to be clean hits, which is on your side. That's the cleanest way to hit somebody.
Hip to hip, shoulders.
Shoulder to shoulder.
I see.
Though your chest technically is a legal hitting zone,
Yeah.
as long as you're not skating in the opposite direction. So I can be skating backwards and hit her as much as I want, as long as my wheels are still going the correct direction on the track.
And this happens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like a
pretty
trick
effective
move.
way, because you can use your toe stops a little bit to slow them down more. So it's harder for them to push you forward if you're skating backwards and on your toe stops.
And this is all on skates, all
Yeah.
this thinking and moving and blocking and skating really fast forward. How long do you stay in the penalty box if you get sent there?
1 minute per major that you rack up. So you can rack up a couple depending on what you're doing, but usually it's one. So you go and serve 1 minute of play time. So once you report to the box, if the jams last for 2 minutes, and they are part of 30-minute halves. So in that 30-minute half, you have breaking them down into 2 minutes of play. So if you get sent to the box and you go sit down, if that jam is whistled dead and they're going to reset and start another one, your clock stops. So you have to serve 1 minute of full play, which can sometimes carry between 2 and 3 jams depending on how short they are. Can be a major impact on a game.
Especially if your jammer goes to the box, then it's a huge impact on the game. It's something called a power jam, where there's a lot of strategies in play right now that help the jammer that's still in play get through the pack multiple times, and you're seeing people score up to 30 to 40 points in one jam, and that puts a big deficit for the other team to catch up.
The scores are high in this.
They are now.
High numbers.
Very high.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're low. Like the last game we played was like a 50-point spread, but that could be closed in like 2 jams. If we get a solid wall and, you know, their jammer's in the box, all we have to do is help our jammer get by everybody, and we can get, you know, like they said, 30, 40 points in 1 jam. It just depends on the strategy. Or you could put your jammer in and play as a blocker, so you could have 5 blockers just sitting on that 1 jammer, which sometimes is kind of an emergency kind of a strategy. So there's, you know, depending on, you know, you really have to analyze who the other, you know, once you start playing with them, analyze who the big blockers are, who the big, you know, jammers are, who the evasive jammers are, and kind of plan accordingly.
You said you're mainly a blocker these days, hoping to be a jammer?
Well, I have a little bit of a problem with my back blocking when I jam, so as of right now, I'm only blocking because I'm a little bit stronger of a jammer, so when I come up and I have that speed, I usually end up knocking over 2 or 3 girls, and that's not good. So that's why, and I'm working on my dodging. So I know, you know, I'm learning what I need to get better at, and I work on those certain drills. So everybody's got their weaknesses. I couldn't skate at first, so I skated for a long time before I even, you know, was set foot on the actual, you know, in a scrimmage. Almost over a year.
Yeah.
I was skating.
Me as well. It took me about a year, I think, until I paid a bout, and it was just an intra-league bout. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like, or you go to local scrimmages, or like, you know, that just sometimes it's what it takes to be safe, because you don't want to hurt yourself, you don't want to hurt other people. I used to call myself Crazy Legs McGee because I was kicking everybody and tripping them, and that's not safe either. So it takes time.
How about you, Veteran Jam? Are you a jammer?
Yes, I am a jammer. And I'm kind of new to the sport, so I'm really excited that I've been able to play as much as I have. But I've been playing for 1 year now.
She's doing really well.
And how about you?
I'm a blocker. I've been playing for about 4 years now.
Oh.
So I was on maternity leave last year, though, so I didn't skate much. I skated in 2 bouts last year and then coached the rest of the year.
I was going to say, we found out you were an excellent coach, though.
Yeah.
If it weren't for that pregnancy, we wouldn't have known it. So, yeah.
So now.
Sometimes it's more beneficial having a really good coach, somebody that can lead.
And it's definitely something that helped me learn more strategies and gameplay, just watching so much derby and having to tell other people what they can work on or what they can improve on. So it made me pay more attention to what I was doing when I came back.
What are some of the benefits, do you think, of roller derby? I was thinking exercise and social life. Are there any other camaraderie? I see this happening a lot.
Yeah, I was never really friends with girls before, and now I've kind of learned what it is to have like a community of women to, you know, you can go to with problems. You know, I'm trying to find an apartment, you know, people are, you know, they know girls, they know kids, they know, like, I know some of my friends have, you know, children and they want to find friends, and so we have like her children to play with these people's children. Like it's a total community. Everybody hangs out together, and you know, we have potlucks, and she knows more about this. The
fundraisers are a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say that we have a teammate, Ruthless, who says that it's a venue for all the dirty jokes that you can't tell during the day, that you get to go to practice and share that. So it's kind of an anything goes gathering.
And you get your anger out. You mentioned earlier on, you don't have to be an angry person in the rest of your life. You can get it out. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And one thing I like about the roller derby that it's offered me is the ability to do a lot of community service. I know most leagues, because we are nonprofits and we look to our community to support us, we in turn give back to other nonprofits and other community other community endeavors in any way that we can. So from food drives to coat drives to handing water out at races and blood drives, if somebody needs a helping hand, if you call the roller derby league, we'll probably send you a handful of girls to come and help you with your event. And we love to do that.
That is especially interesting. You wouldn't imagine that. It's really nice even that you came all this way to be with us tonight. You're very generous with your time. That's great.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes, thank you.
It's great. I understand that there are some men's leagues starting up. Are there any on the West Coast?
Yeah, that's the MRTA team. It's the men's, oh man, I can't remember what it stands for. They're our brother team. We skate with them up in Ukiah as well. They actually, a lot of them are refs as well. So a lot of the refs you'll see at other games, they're usually going to one of the men's teams. But they, I believe the MRTA team, the Deep Valley Belligerents, they went to Indiana or Indianapolis or something for their last game. So they travel as well, and they do community service and fundraising.
But that's minor. It's the girls' leagues that are really driving the sport.
As it is right now.
Yeah. Yeah, let's hope it remains that way. You mentioned playoffs. What sort of playoffs have you been in?
Our team recently, I've only been with the league about 2 years, and since I've been with it, we've only done Red, which is it's a local tournament in Sacramento that they do every year. The Sac City Roller Girls put on. So we both skated at Red. We were recently invited to go to the Big O, but it just wasn't within our budget, and with our game recently and all of our fundraising and stuff, we just haven't as of yet. But we do have some future tournaments coming up. But I believe they were in a tournament.
Yeah, there's two major national tournaments, and they're run by the two separate organizations. So the Women's Flat Track Roller Derby Association they have regionals that they do, which now they've actually switched this year to divisionals just to change it up a little bit. So it used to be by area, and then the top 10 teams in their area would compete at a playoff, and then the top teams in those divisions would then advance to nationals. And now they've switched it to a divisional system where the top 25 teams in the nation are Division I, and then the next 25 down are Division II. So it's kind of offering more of a varsity and junior varsity to play for national titles. So there'll be 2 national titles up for grabs under Women's Flat Track Roller Derby. Under USARS, however, they just last year put together their first tournament, and they are a very established organization. They cover inline hockey, inline roller speed. They work with the International Olympic Committee, and they cover figure skating as well. For all of those are roller sports. And so last year they decided, well, let's have a roller derby tournament, and they divided it into their sections and held regionals, and then the top teams advanced to nationals. So very similar ideas, just kind of different how they divide their teams, either by region or rankings.
And they're the people pushing for an Olympic sport.
Yes, they have been working a very long time to get all of the roller sports underneath the International Olympic Committee for to become fully recognized sports by the Olympics. And like you said earlier, 2020 is the year that they're going to be looking at roller derby. So I think the Olympic Committee has finally figured out that they can get some advertising dollars and make money off roller derby. So
Yeah.
this is exciting.
There should be more roller derby on television, I think.
Yes, there should.
I don't understand why no one's seized upon that and the sports networks aren't showing bouts.
A lot of teams are working at their own rate now to package their local games to get them ready to air on television. We just haven't had any TV outlets wanting to pick it up. However, something called Derby News Network, DNN.com, you can go there and almost any weekend of the year watch live roller derby internationally. They shoot games from Europe and Australia and anywhere across the United States. So if you have some free time this weekend, you should get on DNN.com and watch women's flat track roller derby.
I will do that. That's interesting. Yeah, great. I wanted to ask about the referees. Just you mentioned earlier that the referees standing still couldn't see something, and in my experience, I've seen the referees skating, and so there are standing still referees and skating around the circle referees.
Yes, those are called non-skating officials. So just like there's 10 girls on the track skating at one time, there's so many pairs of legs and so many arms. You need to have those refs keeping up. Usually there's a ref on each jammer watching just that jammer, and then there's also the non-skating officials that are watching specific people in the pack. So they watch specifically to see if those people make penalties and stuff, and then they're also keeping score. And so sometimes when you're calling off the jam, you're not sure if you got past that girl's hips. So there's usually usually more girls on the track, more girls doing officiating than on the track, because there's just so much going on.
Well, that about winds up our program, but I'm sure people want to know about your schedule so that they can see a live roller derby bout. So do you have a website that you publish when you have shows, Resurrection?
Yes, it's www.resurrectionrollergirls.org. Our full schedule is there, as well as a link to buy tickets. And yeah, we play home and away all season, so if you can't catch us in Sonoma County, you should look for us coming to visit your town, because we're coming all over California this year.
Wonderful, thank you.
And our website is www.sonomacountyroller.derby.org, and there are you can see our schedule there, but also you can find Ruthless Rita's email address. If you're interested in skating, you can click on her email address, send her a message, ask her about how to come out and practice with the team and check it out. There's also a couple of other email addresses that people can use if they just have questions about Derby.
That's good to know that people can find out how to learn about it.
I think both leagues are actively recruiting. We recruit year-round, so we generally have instruction nights.
Well, thank you. Thank you both teams, all of you. Thank you Resurrection Roller Girls and Sonoma County Roller Derby League for joining us on Sounding Board. And thanks to the Seroptimus crew and to Rick Tucker and Leon Johnson of Novato Public Access Television. They've been a big help to us with our whole series of shows, Sounding Board.